Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester. With me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell. Blake and Tyler, it's the day after Thanksgiving. It's a great day. It's a new day, but it's not the only day that's happening around here. Tyler, we have a very special guest.
Yes, we do. That was so smooth, man. You didn't even prompt me for that. You just starting the episode this way. I love it. It's accurate, Brad. I hope you're doing well. I am doing well because, like you said, this is an extra special episode. We're joined by a very special guest. She is, I have my list here. She's a Marana High School alum, a passionate fan of all things Mercedes Moné / Sasha Banks. Yeah. And most importantly, she's a fellow member of Bachelor Nation. She also happens to be one of the biggest Arizona fans I know. She's amazing, a future podcast host, and we're excited to have her today. Erika Day, welcome to GI. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
We're great.
Good.
We're so happy you're here.
I'm excited to be here, you guys.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to bring on Erika, Brad, for numerous reasons, right? This is long-term storytelling at its finest. A year and a half.
Yeah.
What would you say, Brad? It's been a minute. You and Erika go way back, but
yeah, a lot longer back than a year and a half. I'm trying not to think about it too hard here, like because it's
2015.
I was gonna say it's like 10 years, almost 9 years.
Yeah, I was in your class junior year, I'm pretty sure. So it would have been 2015 to 16,
it was 15,
which
16.
is sickening, you guys. It's just as sickening for you as it is for me. So
sickening. It can be both.
I just turned 25. Yak. 25 is a drag. Blech.
So your senior year was the last year I had without a Freya in my life. It's been that long. It's been one Freya plus because Freya was born in the summer of 2017. You graduated in 17, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just after that is when we had a Freya, and Freya's 6 going on 7. She let us know she is 6.5. A big life update. We had a 6.5 birthday party for her. She was like, "It's my half birthday. We have to celebrate." I was like, "Well, we're not." Because that's ridiculous, but we did anyway. But we got a little cake, and she was really excited before getting endless candy and cookies and everything else from Christmas. So I have a shugged up first grade maniac somewhere in the house that's really happy today. But I'm glad to see both of you really excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Well, we want to break up the episode into 3 distinct parts. We are going to talk wrestling with Erika. She's a pretty big fan. Of course, we're going to get into Bachelor topics. We have a golden wedding coming up next week as we're recording this.
Wow.
So we got a lot of questions for Erika, and then we're going to cap off the episode by asking her all things U of A, specifically U of A sports, specifically women's hoops. We're going to try to fit in some WNBA talk as well. Erika, this is going to be an amazing episode. Are you ready to get into it?
I'm excited. Let's go, you guys.
Beautiful. So we know that your dad is very special to you. If he's listening or watching now, hey, Erika's dad, we're so grateful for your support. Tell us more about your introduction to wrestling. I know he played a really pivotal role in that, right?
Yeah, so I remember my very first wrestling memory was there was this guy that ate worms. He Viscerus or something like that. Vis something. And he ate worms on in the ring all the time, and I was so scared of him, and my dad was like, "Erika, he's a really nice guy." And I'm like, "You're lying." And so he dragged me over. He took my hand and he dragged me over to this massive man, you think like Big Show type of guy, and he drags me over and he's like, "Erika, this is Viscerus. He's been excited to meet you." And I'm like, "He's excited to meet me?" And little 3-year-old me was just absolutely terrified of this worm man. And he really was just the sweetest guy you ever know. I'm pretty sure the guy is dead now, unfortunately. May he rest in peace. But that was my very first wrestling memory. And I just remember being backstage that day thinking to myself, what in the hell does my dad do for work? Like, how did we get here? Like,
For sure. I think maybe you're talking about Viscera.
Yeah,
Viscera.
Yeah.
I was thinking the Boogeyman, but that would not have.
It might be the Boogeyman, though. I know I get the two a little twisted in my head. Whoever he was, he ate worms, and I was absolutely terrified of him. And I'm like, if you're gonna eat worms, you're definitely gonna eat little 3-year-old me. I mean, I'm basically a worm at this point. Like, so I was just absolutely terrified of that guy. And yeah, it was really good memory though, you know, being with my dad and meeting that big giant guy who I thought was gonna eat me. And then he was just the sweetest, hugged me, and he swallowed me up in his body when he hugged me, you know. And so he basically did eat me, but not like he ate the worms, you know.
It's so funny that you said that. So Viscera, he died in 2014. The Boogeyman is still with us. He's 59 years old, and he was born in Phoenix, Arizona, which I think is pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
I didn't know that. So Erika, what's your wrestling fandom look like since then? So that was 3-year-old back in your worm
Yeah,
phase.
that was back in
What about
what
about the next 22 years since?
Well, I watched a lot of Raw and SmackDown, as we all did as little kids, and my dad and I had we had in our backyard, we had a wrestling ring and a trampoline. So we would watch Raw, and then we would go outside, and he would show me how to do exactly what they just did on TV. And we were the very definition of white trash down in southern Tennessee, and our trampoline and little 4-year-old me was just running from trampoline to the ring, trampoline, ring. I mean, you couldn't keep me off those things. But we were notorious in the neighborhood. You know, my brother's entire group of friends would come over, and we'd all just have wrestling matches in the backyard, which, looking back, probably maybe would have made my parents, you know, if my brother had gone to someone else's house and done a wrestling match in their backyard, I don't know how they would have felt about that. But in our backyard, we were the cool house. But, you know, I was a huge fan of John Cena. He was my favorite as a kid. And my dad used to always yell at me, "John Cena sucks," to his song. And
Of course,
it would make little me so mad. I'm like, "You're such a bully." And then someone scared actually the Wyatt family is actually the reason I stopped watching, because they scared me so much. The goats and the lamb and what's the song? How does it go? I don't remember now, but
he's got the whole world in his hands. Yeah, you remember.
And my dad would play it for me, and he knew it scared the shit out of me. And I would just start crying. I'm like, "Can you please turn that off? They're going to come get me. Like, they're going to come get me and put me on the show. And I don't want to be on the show." But yeah, I was terrified of the Lambs. I was terrified of the Wyatt family as a whole. I was just like, count me out. So I stopped watching. I would go up to my room when my dad would watch wrestling. And then when I moved to Tucson and I met my now best friend, Matthew. Hey, if you're watching, hey. After we graduated, actually, he told me one day in confidence, he's like, "Oh, you know, I watch the WWE sometimes." And I'm like, "No way, you're lying, right? Like, you would not believe."
Let's go, Matthew.
I said, "You would not believe the life I lived before I met you." And so after that, you know, on Fridays he would come over, and it works out better when SmackDown's on at 8 p.m. versus 9 p.m. with the time change. But he would always come over, and we'd always watch SmackDown together. So SmackDown is my show now. I think 3 hours is a little long, personally. Yeah, I can watch the Hulu rendition of it when they cut down like 25 minutes of it or something and cut out all the ads, you know, but 3 hours is just too much. And, you know, and they spend the first 35 minutes of it talking. And I'm like, "Can you guys wrestle?"
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know, but I'm pretty sure you guys are the Worldwide Wrestling, you know? I'm pretty sure that's you guys, Worldwide Wrestling. Yeah, but I love John Cena. Still to this day, if John Cena is a part of the promo, I'm at the show if it's in Phoenix. So, and every time we go and John Cena's supposed to be there, we'll take a picture with no one and tell everyone we met John Cena. You know, you can't see him, so
yeah, of course you have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I know you pretend. We can absolutely pretend. I know you have a special place in your heart for Mercedes Moné, the artist formerly known as Sasha Banks. So we really want to know, Erika, before we get into our other topics, what do you think 2024 has in store for her? I'm so happy we're having you on, because just a few days ago, I think, Brad, maybe you sent me this, or someone in the community sent me the Mercedes post on X, where she said, happy
holidays.
Happy holidays. All I want for Christmas is
Monet.
Yes. And then, okay, Triple H, there's 3 H's. Okay, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
So 2024, likely a pivotal year for Mercedes. Hopefully she's healthy. It appears she's kind of again giving us these teases that she's ready to go. What do you want this year to look like? Are you hoping she makes her way back to WWE? Are you wanting to see her in AEW and Japan? What are you hoping these next 12 months have for one of your
Me
favorites?
personally, I hope that she comes back and feuds with Bailey. I think Bailey's kind of fallen off. It seems as of now, I don't watch every week, so I can't say for sure. But it seems that they put her back in the face kind of situation where
Yeah.
she's more so baby face now again.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really good for Bailey's character as well as Sasha's. But my dad gave me this one-liner that I just had to tell you guys. If CM Punk can come back, anyone can come back. So I don't rule it out that she's coming back to the WWE. Before CM Punk came back, I would have ruled it out. But now, though, I think that anyone, it's kind of a wild, wild west with the WWE right now. And I think they're trying to do a lot of things to bring in old viewers and bring back viewers that have kind of stopped watching, such as me and Matthew, week to week. We keep up with it on Instagram and stuff like that. But I think if Sasha was there, we'd watch every week. We would watch every single week. So,
I think they're going to bring you back, Erika. Brad, we haven't talked about this at length, but it seems like it's shaping up for Sasha Mercedes to head back to WWE.
I'm hoping she makes a Royal Rumble.
Right. Yes.
Rumble
yes. There it is. There it is.
Yeah. It's the one that makes the most sense because right now they're semi feuding within Damage Control.
Yeah.
And they're very much pushing her out. And who better to help her out in a fight if that needs to happen than a returning Sasha Banks. I don't think she comes back as Mercedes Moné. I think it has to be Sasha Banks if she goes to the WWE. But I would love to see a switch in character and kind of hybridize both of those things. That could be cool. Because I don't think there was enough. I didn't see enough in Japan of her because she got hurt.
Yeah.
Ironically, not in Japan and not with a New Japan / Stardom wrestler. It was with Willow. And we love Willow, but
yes, we do.
I need to see her back in wrestling. I don't care where she goes, but it makes sense for her to go back to the WWE. She did get to do that tour. She wanted to wrestle in Japan. She got to do that. I wonder what's left and what's next. But I would love to see that. I don't think anybody can go back to the WWE. I think you guys are really optimistic maybe with that because I think about Ryback. And I just don't see that ever happening. Now, with Sasha, that makes all the sense in the world. Her friends are there. I think given Triple H is booking now. Triple H is in charge of things. Triple H didn't murder the tag team division and make that really, really stupid program happen with her and Trinity and then make them feud after winning the belt. That was just apocalyptically dumb. And I know that's why things fell apart and they both left because it's like, no, this doesn't make sense. We're not going to do that. I think ultimately they were in the right. Walking off from the job, I don't know. You feel how you want on that. But in terms of storytelling, it makes the most sense. And I don't think Triple H would do that. And I think if Sasha hears that from Triple H, then she's back if they give her a contract.
I think Triple H's booking has been really good also in comparison to what we had been seeing in the past few years with old Vince. Not that I'm not thankful for what Vince did for, the industry in general, but
totally.
I think that Triple H he's got eyes for, young talent. And I like the way he's gone after, Tyler and I have talked about, gone after kind of collegiate athletics that probably aren't going to play at the pro level. And I think that that's really smart on his part. You can get them cheap and young and train them. You don't have to start wrestling when you're 15 or 5 like you do if you're playing football or basketball or softball. So I think it's a really cool sport that they have opportunity in, and Triple H is doing something cool with giving them that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, well said, Ian. And I think there are so many examples in NXT right now of the NIL working so well. There's Tiffany Stratton and a bunch of other men and women who are just clearly already picking this up and are really true superstars. But with that being said, Erika, we cannot not wait any longer. We got to get into it. The Golden Wedding is on Thursday, January 4th. And let's first start here. Like us, you faithfully watched the inaugural season of the Golden Bachelor. What did you think?
I thought it was brilliant. First of all, I think it was the least drama-y filled season of anything Bachelor related we've gotten in years, you know? So I think there was, when I first started watching, it was in 2018 on the Bachelor cycle. And it was the first year where it was more of an influencery vibe with the contestants. And I think that it's so special with the older people that they might get a few followers and they might get a few brand deals out of it, but they're not committing to a lifestyle in terms of influencing. And so I think it's really in the Bachelor's best interest to keep the show going because it has the opportunity to be successful love stories in comparison to what we've seen on Paradise example for this year. It was a big bust for them, unfortunately, even though that's my favorite of the franchises. But, you know, The Bachelorette, she's getting married, right? I think she's engaged.
That sounds right.
I think she's engaged. I don't know. But The Bachelor, I mean, look, they're getting married, 3 months after the show finished shooting? I mean, that's pretty fast turnaround time. I think Gary is a troll. I do believe that. In my wholehearted heart, I believe Gary is a little bit of a troll. But I think Teresa was the ultimate winner for him. And I don't think he would have ever been happy with the other two contestants at the end. I think that not that they didn't get along good enough or that they didn't like each other, didn't love each other. Although I do think it's crappy that Gary told all three of them that he loved them.
That's the part.
Yeah.
That's the part.
He fumbled the Leslie situation.
He did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I truly, Faith and Leslie both, I think that their lifestyles would have never meshed well together.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Gary isn't moving.
Teresa and I was a day one Teresa stan. And
let's go. Okay,
yeah,
Erika. That's what I'm talking about. Say that again for Brad.
Awesome.
That's what I'm talking about.
And there were the other contestants that I have on my notes here that they are the most important guests at the Golden Wedding, even more important than the bride and groom, are Susan, Kathy, and Sandra. Those three people better be there or I don't want to watch. I don't really like Kathy, but she has to be there. You know what
especially
I mean?
at Teresa's wedding.
Yes.
That was the only beef on the season, right?
You know the camera's going to go to them and stay on them.
I know. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So Erika, then follow-up question. With the news that's come out about Gary Turner, I know you
retired restaurateur. Don't sell him short.
Retired restaurateur, which may be a bit of a, what would we call that, Brad? Not
bullshit, I believe is what we call that.
Yeah. That seems like an accurate description. With some of these kind of salacious details that came out near the finale, Erika, how did that information land with you? Did that affect how you look back on the season or how you feel about the wedding coming up? Are you more so just happy for Teresa and then, you know, happy that all of these folks got the chance to shine on the stage? And again, it's less about influencing and more about
love.
Dare I say love and finding love. How is the cult of personality that is Gary Turner? How's that sitting with you right now? Are you good with it?
Well, to start, I'm really glad that we got the opportunity to watch the show without that information because, like, the first 2 episodes, I cried like 6 times watching them because everyone's talking about their dead spouses, and I'm sitting there with Travis, like, "Oh my God, you're gonna die one day."
That second episode was brutal.
Yeah, I'm like, I hope I die first. You know, that's what those episodes were making me think to myself. And then we get down to the nitty gritty, and I'm seeing the Reddit posts, and I'm like, oh no, he's a troll after all. And on one hand, I have to say, it's shitty that he was given the platform to lie. But on the other hand, I'm sure Teresa is also not innocent, you know, in anything. Like, I'm sure she's dated. I'm sure she's been with other men. And she had this whole, I didn't date anyone. I told everyone no because I was waiting on you. You know, she had that whole storyline arc situation. So
don't tell me you're calling BS on
all I'm saying is that she's a beautiful woman who also is a financially savvy woman. She's not dumb. So it would be difficult to convince me that she's just been sitting around alone. And I would say it's safe to say they've both been with others that maybe they weren't brutally honest with on the show. And I think at their age, I think that that's fair. I don't expect them to go on this TV show and air out all their dirty laundry. I think it's one thing for a contestant to not air out all their dirty laundry, and it's a completely different thing for the lead to not air out all their dirty laundry. So I think there's a little bit of like, Gary, what the hell? But at the same time, I also believe his daughters are mostly the ones that kind of like told his story to the producers and things and kind of put him in the position to be the lead. So, and I think that once you're in the show and in on the filming and the producers got their hands on you, I think that they lead, they ask a lot of leading questions. So I think at that point it's like, well, how do I tell the truth now? They're telling me to talk about my dead wife. How do I tell them that I've been dating on the side when they're asking me about my dead wife? So I feel bad for Gary a little bit, because it's like he's this older guy who's just trying to live his life, and he was just trying to find a new wife, and now he's getting roasted on E! News. But on the other hand, you told 3 women that you love them.
Yeah.
So
yes, it's like, didn't you watch Clayton's season? Gary did it. There's proof of how to do this and how not to do this.
One of the very first Bachelor seasons was this guy named Ben Higgins, and he told the final 2 women that he loved them. And ever since that season, I've never seen another lead tell anyone that he loved multiple people, he or she. And so I was really shocked to see Gary do that. I'm shocked that no one warned him about that. I can imagine that final 3 is really difficult to work through, and that you do love all 3 of them in some way, shape, and form.
Yeah,
but to tell them is a completely different thing. So
I have a direct quote. Ben Higgins was asked about this, and his direct quote is, "He is an Indiana boy. Those Indiana boys have a lot of love to give because they're both from the same state."
That is.
I can't be mad at them.
That is a quote.
But
it's a quote.
Yes. It's just it's dirty. And imagine if they did that on Bachelor in Paradise, we'd be so angry. If they were telling 3 different women on the beach that they loved them, we would all be up in arms. Oh, we got to. But
you're brave for watching Paradise, though, Erika. I gave it a shot. It's a little grimy for me.
This season has been rough. It was a rough season. They all hated each other. And I was actually reading about this on Reddit the other day, and someone made a really good point that it's probably intimidating at this point to go on Paradise, because so many people have been roasted and flamed for starting love triangles or being a part of love triangles, that it's like, oh, well, once you start talking to your first person, then you can't talk to anybody else. So I think that's why this Bachelor in Paradise season failed, is because they're just all the contestants are all nervous of how they're perceived. And I think they have to change the formula a little bit in order to be successful again, because historically it is the most successful franchise of the 3. So they have to do something, I think, to fix it a little bit in the day and age of social media.
Right. What's going on with Rachel? I kind of followed. I followed Paradise from a distance, and I saw that Rachel is not getting any love.
Well, and you remember on her season when all the people were passing over her for Gabby?
It was all about Gabby.
It's just terrible for her, and I feel for her, but she just wears her feelings on her sleeve. She wears her heart out there,
that's a little too much.
And so she just Rachel and I are one and the same. We scare people off a little bit, and then they regret it when they realize what they're missing out on,
Well, what threw me off is that I saw Avon on Paradise. This is my last Paradise now. I saw Avon on Paradise, and I thought, wait, the last time I saw these 2 together on TV,
sparks were flying.
Avon made that babyface appearance, huge pop from the crowd. He was there to save it. He said, "Rachel, you want to go and leave this dude behind, and let's skip out of here and grab dinner? Let's Netflix and chill," or whatever they were going to do. That was the last presentation, and now apparently Avon had a massive heel turn, and he is hated.
Yes,
apparently total F-boy, which was a surprise to me. And Rachel is still the hopeless romantic. That's where we're at?
Yeah, and to be fair to Avon, him and his little girlfriend that he had, Kylie, in Paradise, right. Kylie is gorgeous, and I would hate to say anything negative about Kylie and her see that. But Kylie is crazy. She's absolutely insane. She knew she wanted to marry Avon before she got to the beach. And when she got to the beach and realized that Avon wasn't trying to marry right now, she was like, I'm done. I'm over it. And I'm like, girl, he doesn't even appear as the kind of guy who would be ready to get down on one knee after a few weeks.
Right. That was the beef. That was the beef with Rachel, right?
Well, and they make it out to be a 9-week show, but they're really only on the beach for 3 weeks. So like when you're watching the show, it's almost every 2 days is filmed as a week. So, they're not together that long. Avon got to the beach late. I'm like, Kylie, how did you think this was going to go for you, girl? But I feel for her because it seems as though he's cheated on her, which is grimy. But I think that he'll get the redemption arc, just like most men on The Bachelor get. It'll come eventually. Give him 2 years and he'll be back on the beach.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe Gary will get some redemption as long
as maybe he'll go to the beach.
As long as Teresa's happy.
The redemption arc for Gary's got to happen a little faster. 2 years is a lot longer of a period of time when you're in your 70s.
We need to expedite this, Brad. You got to get that in the next week before this.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a Golden Bachelorette pick?
Oh, man, we've talked about this a bunch. I think it's Ellen.
That's a good pick, actually.
I think so.
She's also, I think, a Rachel type where she wears her heart on her sleeve a little bit, but I think it works into her advantage at that age. I love
how kind of tough she is. Like she has the thick New York accent. She has she rules. I need more pickleball. She's a good pick for that. No pun intended there. I think having Leslie could work, but I don't see
that girl
that
is
one.
Crazy. She is nutty but nutty. I'm 25 years old and I have my life entirely more together than Leslie has ever. And
I did get that vibe. I did get that vibe after reflecting a little bit. I'm like, I just don't know if she has. I think a lot of that doesn't work out because she doesn't have any of it together. I'm not blaming her for what happened. She doesn't have a lot of emotional intelligence, if you ask me. Yeah.
She's very out of touch with herself, even. Because she's like up in arms at Gary, and truthfully, I never even got the vibe she even liked Gary that much. I felt like it was kind of a forced thing.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like it was a little bit forced. Like, girl, are you acting like you like him that much, or do you really like him that much?
Because Gary sparked Prince. Gary sparked a whole bunch of other people with a whole bunch of other people early on. Ellen disappeared, but like there was something there, but then I can't even remember their names now. Like we had an injury, we had a daughter situation where it was like,
that girl with the daughter, she would be a really good Bachelorette pick also.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. But I don't know how great it would be because I can't remember her name. I think my dark horse pick here is Bachelorette. It's Sandra, and it's at a dairy farm.
Sandra's awesome. I really liked Sandra's. I know we aren't huge Kathy fans, but I'm also a huge Susan fan, the short-haired woman.
Susan,
I love Susan.
She's
a hoot. And I think if we got a full season of Susan, I think we would never be bored.
I think that's the thing that happened is like they, I wonder how much of Gary's portrayal or Gary's facade for the retired restaurateur, where he stopped at like 85. I was 3 years old when he retired to go do other work. Number one, I hate that because it did give him that, like, that was probably his peak as a business person. So fine if you want to credit that, but number two, I think it kind of diminishes the work that he did after that. It's like he was in maintenance and stuff. Who cares? Like, that's important work. Stuff breaks all the time. They need somebody. Anyway, I'm not going to go on to that, but I wonder if they're like, have you dated? Yeah, I've dated some of these things. Did you ever have another engagement? Or yeah, but it didn't really work out and that's not a good relationship. Okay, so we won't talk about it on the show. Or what can we tell you? It's like, oh, I had a hamburger stand for years. Oh, okay. So retired restaurateur. That's how we'll frame it. I wonder about that. And I was thinking about this with Susan, and Tyler and I have talked about this with Susan, with Kathy, with some of the others that on the show, I didn't really get to know Susan at all, except for the things at the very end of the episodes where they show them just sort of living in the house. And then I'm like, oh, Susan seems like she rules, but her episodes where she's just sort of there, the talent show, she does like karate. And up to that point, that was the most Susan we got, other than her sitting on a bench and watching. And then they do the backstage stuff, and you're like, oh, she rules. I would love to watch more of this. I would love to see Kathy in a different element instead of just portraying the kind of the antagonist kind of approach to her, who she was embarrassed by all accounts, like watching the women talk, where she's sitting in the audience watching things back and she's covering her face in shame because she knows it happened, where it's like, that's not all she was. She was cracking jokes when they were cooking. Give us more of that. That's why I have such a hard time watching this stuff. It just seems like unfair editing and portrayals of a lot of the women. And then I can't get into it, especially when they're younger. This had that element to me where it was like, oh, I want to see what happens, because for them, this feels like a last chance for love.
Yeah.
And there's real stakes where I've seen The Bachelor before, and they're like, I'm never going to find anybody else. And I'm like, you are 25. You are 25 years old.
I do not think they should cast anyone under 25 on the show. I really don't think so.
No.
It's really ridiculous to me. Regardless of however old the lead is, the contestants should absolutely be over 25 years old.
Yeah, any of them. Yeah.
Easily. So final question for you, E. Temperature check. Joey's season is starting on the 22nd. I hear word on the street is you are a fan. The dude got a haircut, and his handsome meter just shot up like 3 or 4 levels. Yeah, I can totally admit that too. He's the tennis pro from Hawaii. His cast, the list of women has been released. I know you sent me 4 names, Erika, that stood out to you. Kelsey A., project manager from New Orleans. Kyra is a paralegal from Miami. Lainey is a realtor from Philly. And Marlena is a finance writer from West Palm Beach, Florida. I don't think we have any women from Arizona, sadly, but these 4 stood out to you. What are your thoughts heading into Joey's season? I know you're excited.
Well, I'm excited. We also have an Erika with a K on the season.
Yes, we do.
Which is exciting.
So she's number 1 for you. She's the
absolutely,
pick.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm a big Erika fan. I also am interested to see how the sister storyline plays out. I think that's a really interesting. They've had sisters, they've had twins before, but I'm interested to see how kind of this goes. They look a little older and maybe a little wiser than some of the past sisters they've had on the show. So fingers crossed, but low expectations, going into that one. I think I'm excited. It feels like a restart in the franchise. We haven't had Paradise in a couple years since COVID. So it feels like a fresh start for the franchise as a whole. And, I haven't watched it in a little while. I didn't watch Charity season. I didn't watch Clayton season, at least not in full. I kind of knew what was going to happen with them. And, but with Joey, he embodies what I think it takes to be the Bachelor. He's charismatic. He looks like he's the most handsome Bachelor we've had since the gay Bachelor, Colton. And he turned out to be gay. So I don't know how that plays in with Joey yet, but hopefully not the same way, because this show is about women dating men. So it would be really bumming to have 2 gay seasons now at this point.
It would be a plot.
Yeah, but he's a really handsome guy, and he seems like a hoot. He seems very entertaining. He seems like he knows what it takes to make good TV also.
I think so.
I also am wondering a little bit as to what the difference between production styles for the Golden Bachelor and production styles for a regular Bachelor franchise, and how they approach the contestants, because I know they try to sway Bachelor and contestants in the ways of crazy and drama.
Right. You mentioned that earlier.
I'm curious to know if it was their intention to have the Golden Bachelor be more about love than the others, or if the producers just didn't poke and prod as much, or maybe they're different producers. I don't know. But
and like you said, even the way it was shot, I think the Golden Bachelor was such a home run. The ratings showed it. The way it was shot, like you said, Erika, the fact that it was 1 hour as opposed to 2 every week.
Yes.
I know that meant a lot for my co-host. That meant a lot for me. It was just such an easier watch for so many reasons. But like you said, I think there's reason to be hopeful with Joey. I think if we're ranking recent Bachelors, he has a lot of potential. And like you pointed out, checks a lot of the boxes in what we like in a lead. And I feel like the way he handled the breakup with Charity seems super cordial. And he hasn't been out here just wilding in these
I
streets.
watched a clip of that in preparation for this, and he looked distraught, but he handled it with class and
Yes, that's what we
dignity. And I
need.
think that
Yes.
is probably a really difficult thing to do in that environment. So, I'd be sobbing like a little baby. So props to Joey on that one,
Of course. Well, let's get into part 3. U of A talk. Erika, you are one of the biggest Arizona fans we know. And U of A is in a really interesting spot right now. On a recent episode, Brad and I highlighted the financial woes they're experiencing. They have a $240 million budget. I don't know, deficit is the word we want to use. Situation.
It's not because it's not a deficit. It's just a situation that they thought they were going to have $240 million. Now they don't.
Not the fun kind. No, not at all. 97 days of cash on hand when they thought it was like 150 or it's nuts. So on one hand, you have this going on and employees apparently are not going to get a raise for the foreseeable future. But on the other side of things, sports, collegiate sports, big business. One may argue U of A is thriving in many areas right now.
Many of them actually right now.
So we want to play a quick game with you. This is going to be called Wildcat Something or Nothing. We are going to read you a series of statements, and we would like to know, is this something or is this nothing?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Let's get into it. U of A football facing Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl this week. They made it to a bowl game. Something or nothing?
Something. Huge something. I was at the game when they played Oregon State, when they pretty much clinched their bowl, and it was awesome to watch them storm the field, first of all. But it is one of my dreams to be at a sporting event where people are as excited as I am. It's pretty difficult to do. So to watch those people run through the field was incredible. I was a little nervy with the financial news coming out about the football coach even staying. So,
right. But how's it going to look if you give this dude a contract when you come on now?
But at the same time, football is where the money in college athletics is. So it could be a situation of you have to spend money to make money. And it's kind of how I see where Arizona's at with money in general right now is they have to invest in football. With the way the rest of college athletics is kind of panning out right now, I think football is really – they need to prioritize. Moving to the Big 12 where they can really actually contend for a playoff spot every year almost, I think it's really valuable to move a lot of your priorities maybe away from basketball for just a little bit if you're President Robbins.
Yeah, okay, very good. We got 5, so let's go on to statement number 2. Jaden DeLora, backup quarterback for Arizona football, our last football one. News came out recently that he is transferring. Something or nothing?
I'll say in the middle, if that's allowed, and the only reason I say that is because on one hand, the writing was on the wall with him being backup now. He's a senior. He has some personal situations that have made Arizona fans question him at times. So the writing was kind of written on the wall for him. But on the other hand, he has been from what I've seen, heard, read in the newspapers, watched in press conferences, he's been a phenomenal leader in the locker room this year. And I think when you're building a program in the way that Jedd Fisch is, I think having a player that leads in the way JDL has over this last year, whether or not he was playing, is invaluable. You keep the team together, you have a winning program. But I think I've only seen Jaden DeLora is the only notable transfer that I've seen come out of Arizona this year. We're playing Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. Their starting quarterback has already left. So, it's huge, the program and the culture that Jedd has been able to build around Arizona. But I really wish JDL nothing but the best. I hope his personal situations pan out in the best way humanly possible. And I hope that he plays collegiate football one more year and maybe plays really well and maybe goes to the league. Who knows? But
wow, okay, I'm not mad at that. U of A men's basketball losing its second game of the year to Florida Atlantic in Las Vegas over the weekend.
This is a soft spot. I was I watched this driving down the road on I-8 coming back from El Centro, and I felt like every time the video would stop buffering, they would miss a shot. And I'm like, am I the bad luck? Like, every time I'm able to watch, they
You ate their
miss.
bandwidth.
So
You might have
finally,
been.
I'm like,
Might have
I'll just
been.
watch the game cast on the ESPN app. Fine. I will say something, but I think it's a good something. I think they had to lose to a good team early, and the Pac-12 for men's basketball is not going to be super competitive this year. So I think that they needed this loss at the time that they got it. It will teach them about themselves. Caleb Love, I want the ball in his hands almost for 40 minutes, but he missed some shots. And so he needs to hone in on why he missed those shots. Was it the pressure? Was it just that day? What was it? And kind of figure out what's going to work for them under pressure a little bit better. I think FAU is a really good seasoned basketball team who's been together a long time too.
Yeah,
It's
those
not
Miami
like
Vice
they're playing
jerseys as
Purdue
well.
and Duke where
fire.
they have a lot of draft picks every year.
Right,
It's
exactly.
FAU, so
Yeah.
their people stay.
They're the Owls, Erika. Their mascot is the Owls.
I think that's the worst mascot I've ever heard.
They're wise, but they're not intimidating.
They need to change that. And
I will remind you that the Buckeyes are a thing. And then I'm gonna
but that sounds cool. At least
Ohio
the
State.
Owls.
It's a tree.
It's
a tree.
I think the Buckeyes is a fun name.
Owls land and poop on trees,
but
and just owl pellet on
I think
a
it's
tree.
kind of cool.
So Erika, it sounds like
I just hate Ohio State.
You should.
We got something there. Okay, but a good something. That's
good something.
That's an interesting tweak. Final two, and this gets to your bread and butter, women's Wildcat hoops. Maya Naji stepping away from the program to focus on school.
Well, I did a little bit of digging before I wanted to see what her recruiting journey was like in high school before I came on here and talked out of my ass and said, oh, she had all these offers and she chose to come here because of the doctor program, But she did, So her top 13, Arizona, UCLA, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Louisville. She could have played with HVL. Are we serious? Louisville, Maryland, Michigan, Oregon, South Carolina, Stanford, Vanderbilt, and Virginia. So my point in saying that is if the offer still stood from Dawn Staley to come play for Dawn Staley at this point, Maya Naji might be a little silly to not take it. I think that there are some clear culture issues down south here in Tucson. It's my only note on Arizona women's basketball, my whole page, is that all of last year's freshman class has departed, other than one player who is our starting point guard now. And that starting point guard, I love her. Very happy to have her, but she plays selfish basketball, and she plays high school basketball still, kind of. How, like, in high school, you get that one player that shoots really well, and they hold on to the ball every offensive possession, the whole possession. Yeah. She's got the ball for 26 seconds. And at the end of the possession, you're like, this girl had an open look right under the basket. Why did you not pass the ball? And so I think Maya, personally, I think she'll wait until after March and April. I don't think she returns to Arizona. I don't.
Wow.
I think she waits till March and April, waits till the tournament's over, and she enters the portal. Wow. I think she waits till because I think she is so concerned with public image, and for good reason. She's concerned with public image and doesn't want to shade the program or anything that the program has done for her. I mean, her brother went to college here.
Her brother was beloved too. Yeah, member of the Nuggets, right? Yeah. So he's an NBA champion for crying out loud. So we don't want to dog on the program that got them to where they are. But on the same token, but the other thing that makes me almost second guess that she's not coming back to Arizona is that her parents bought a house here. They own a house in Tucson, even though they're from Michigan. So I don't know if that is an inclination more for her to stay, or if this,
I just don't buy that this is all about the doctor program. So it's something, and it's a bad something. It's a bad something. Actually, I got to the game. It was last two Thursdays ago, and I got to the game, and I'm watching them warm up with Matthew, and I'm like, dude, we're missing a player. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, Maya's not here. Like, do you see her out there? And he's like, no. And so we're waiting. And finally Adia Barnes comes walking out. And I'm like, okay, Maya's still not with her. I think we have a problem here. And within 30 seconds, I'm seeing tweets of her in a UConn jersey. And I'm like, you guys, you need to calm down. She's not. And nowhere in that top 13 that I just listed was Gino and UConn.
That Photoshop is a powerful tool.
Oh my God. I felt like I was being terrorized, like, a personal attack on me. And, I learned my lesson with searching my players' names that day on Twitter. I really did learn my lesson.
Well, let's get into the fifth and final one here. And I'll actually move this from U of A centric to the pros, to the W. Big season this past year for the WNBA. Great records, great just star power, Erika. We've known these women are amazing. Girls as players too. But I felt like this past season, there was a real leap in viewership and just the overall tone about the product, which made me exceptionally happy as a fan of the W. So we know that the Indiana Fever received the number 1 pick. They'll be drafting first in this coming year's draft. And so this is less something or nothing. And I just want to know, how are you rating the prospects? Because Caitlin Clark, if she declares, seems to be I know you feel a way about this, but I'm going to get it out. Seems to be the consensus number 1 pick. We're talking Aaliyah Boston and CC playing together. That seems like a great match.
I like that you picked up on the CC thing.
Listen, CC.
I don't have time to type their names every time I'm talking about them. You know how
we do. We're efficient here. But I know you are a fan of one Cameron Brink from Stanford. You have been. Of course, speaking of tumultuous seasons, we have Angel Reese out at LSU. We know with NIL, a lot of these players could end up staying because it's just very lucrative to come back.
Yeah.
But if a lot of these talented collegiate hoopers declare, Erika, I think we could have a draft for the ages. So final question here for you. What is your top 5 for this year's WNBA draft? How are you ranking them?
I'm a hater. We've talked about me being a CC hater at length. And
we have.
I think that if she went to the Fever, her and Aaliyah could be really, really special together. And I'm talking Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, back-to-back championships. I'm talking special.
You put it out there. We're going to clip this.
I think it's really fair to say that because you watched Caitlin last year in the tournament with her big that she had in Monica Cesano. And she kind of doesn't have that this year. She doesn't have the same type of big that can take charges in the same way Monica could and could do a moving screen that may be illegal, but Monica got away with it. Aaliyah is the same. She's a really, really talented big. And I think that her and Caitlin could be really special together. That being said, being that the Mercury has the number 2 pick, and I've been told to tell you, Matthew and I would love to be Mercury fans. We really want to be Mercury fans, but we are Diana Taurasi haters through and through. We can't get over the extra large shorts, first of all. She wears bigger shorts than Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm like, girl, take those off. We don't need those.
It's a good point on the shorts. It is hideous. A good point on the shorts.
It's distracting at this point. But I think, personally, you could have a really good team if you have Cameron Brink with the Mercury learning from Brittany Griner. And I think, personally, this is Diana Taurasi's last year. They're having the All-Star game in Phoenix. So I think unless the Phoenix Mercury come out and they win 10 games in a row and they're spanking everybody, I think Diana retires at the All-Star break, which is an interesting take. But it helps them if they're not doing well, they can tank, and Diana's not willing to tank. So I think it could be really fun to watch Cameron Brink learn from Brittany, though. Brittany Griner.
Definitely. And assuming Skylar Diggins is probably out.
Well, and also I assume that if Diana Taurasi retires, I also assume Brittany Griner retires. And I think Brittany makes it through the end of the year. Wow. But I think Diana retires at the All-Star break and BGE stays till the end of the year. That's what I foresee happening. And I think it'd be really cool to be able to pull for the Mercury. And so Paige Beckers, sorry, everybody, or Cameron Brink, either one come to the Mercury, I'm on board. And it could be super cool to watch Paige learn from Diana as well. I mean, that it's two sides of the same sword, you know, where it's like we can either have a guard learn from a guard or a big learn from a big. It could be really fun either way. And whoever doesn't get picked between the two is to the Sparks, which is unfortunate. I think this is Cameron Brink's last year of eligibility. And if she had another year, she might stay in hopes of going to the Golden State WNBA team. Because that's where she's from, you know, her family's there.
Yep.
And, you know, she's got that deal with New Balance. And so, like, New
Balance I just saw that commercial. Yeah, I just saw that commercial yesterday. That's right.
Makes me sweaty just thinking about the commercial. But then we got Rakita Jackson. We've got some real big names in this draft. And last year, I think we saw 11 of the 29 drafted make a roster. And I think this year we see 15 or more make a roster.
That'd be amazing.
Which would be really cool. Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine, I'm hoping and praying she gets drafted. If you're watching, you know who you are, and I'll email whoever I need to email to get you drafted, girl.
She's connected.
I tell them all the time, I'm like, you have an impromptu free agent at your disposal, ready to go.
Period.
You tell me who to email, and I'm typing.
Agent, future podcast host, Erika, there is nothing that you can't do. This is why we're so grateful that you came on. Again, long time coming. It was so great to catch up. Where can we find and support you? I know you're super active on social media. I always enjoy following your opinions and your scoops. Tell us where we can follow you at.
You can follow me on Twitter at Erika Lee Day, spelled below. And then my Instagram is just Erika Day _. And that's it. Beautiful.
This was a blast. Brad, did we miss anything?
Not that I can think of right now. No. I was recapping what we've gone over, and I think we covered everything more thoroughly than I thought we would, and somehow more expeditiously than I thought we would as well, with the ground that we wanted to cover. Erika, we're just so glad that you were able to come on the pod.
Me too. It's been a long time coming, so we'll have to do it again sometime, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Sign me up. I'll be there. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.